Hi, David.
Hey, Gerald.
Nice to see you again.
You too.
We met each other in Mysore a long time ago, and we reconnected 2 years ago, so it's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's a very happy connection for me.
Yeah, so it's good to welcome you in Ashtanga Yoga Paris. I listened to your talk for Friday evening workshop, and you were saying that we really need one posture, you know, and from that posture, you know, all the others evolve, you know. And that's what that's kind of what we teach too. That's kind of the main philosophy in our teaching in the studio. So if you can maybe explain a little more about that, because I found it interesting that your kind of philosophy of the practice kind of join what we teach and what we think. So if you could just.
And it's just so funny. I think it's a natural evolution. So it's like, so I started studying with Pattabhi Jois in 1993. So that's a lot of years, right? And I've never really stopped. And so it's natural that, to me, it's very natural that you wouldn't want to keep, that the answer isn't more asanas and more series. It's gonna, eventually you're gonna go, wait a minute, and start turning back the other way. And so, because it's a perspective that you're coming to. It's a consciousness and a kind of, what are you paying attention to? That's what you're trying to shift. So you're trying to pay attention internally, trying to use your senses different, use your body differently, use your mind different, and quiet the mind from a lot of outer things. And so that is a state of mind.
One, your legs and your spine, your lower body and your upper body do two entirely different things. So your lower body generally anchors, stabilizes, waits, as your upper body responds off of that. So you're looking for a action of the limbs that causes a spinal response. Okay, so we looked at it in upward dog, right? That you're creating those stubborn legs. So you're trying to lift up your spine and project it forward into the body. And if the legs come right along with it, it won't happen. So the legs, they anchor, they stubbornly stay back, and then the spine says, yeah! Every back bend, the legs do three things. They adduct, okay, and adduct, it only means going towards each other. They can be this wide, but they're still adducting. It doesn't mean they go together, it just means they go towards each other. They internally rotate. Every back bend, you internally rotate the femur in the hip socket until the kneecap faces up. Okay, so that's a direction then. So that once it gets to that direction, then there's no more rotation. If it's externally rotating, then you've got to get it internally rotating until it gets to there and then stop rotating. That's two. Okay, then the third, what we've already said, it is grounded, weighted. So like when you go up into Urdhva Dhanurasana, you imagine two African elephants are standing on your thighs. As though that right from above, weight is anchoring those legs. So, and you'll see that that's so hard. When you go up in Urdhva Dandasana, what happens is that all the weight goes in the arms. What's happening in the legs? Okay, so we'll start with that.
I remember Patabi, Guruji, saying that, and I was really puzzled by what he said, that Ashtanga is not physical exercise, it's internal exercise.
Yeah.
And at first I was just, it's not physical? Because, when you do second or third series, it looks pretty physical, right?
That's right.
But after you understand, like you talked about prana, working the prana, working energetically in the position and so on, yes, I very much agree with that. But at first, this is not accessible to the person who starts. It takes years and years of practice before refining it and seeing the more subtle aspect of the practice, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also I feel that the variety in the asanas is it's a very much energy raising things, like kundalini, and in a way, then, as a beginner, we're very wasteful with our energy, and so this whole idea of mudra, of sealing in energy. See, you learn how to do that, and so you learn how to contain that life force. So it's not so hard to raise it, and so and then that idea of stillness, right? That like movement and activity becomes undesirable, whereas before you needed it to actually focus and concentrate. Then it turns around and becomes a distraction, actually. It becomes like counterproductive. And so because you've raised the energy, and so you can get more subtle and just be in one position. And I also, for me, there's a literal aspect to it, because we say it kind of poetically, or you hear it that, oh, there's one universal asana. But I'm saying that it's actually a physical thing. And so when you do triangle or you do Marityasana D, you really are, it's a lot like Samastitihi. And in a physical sense, and in an energetic sense, in every sense. And so in that way, you don't need as many postures, but it also changes then like what you value about doing a posture.
Remember our principle. It's so good, right? You can trust in everyone. So you abduct your legs. You abduct, you internally rotate till the kneecap faces forward, and you anchor your legs. Whook, whook. And then, what's the spinal response? You reach through the arms and touch, not even far, just that much, and then back up in the reverse. Okay, it's like a back dive. It's swimming, right? So you won't do a back dive like this. Just survival, you wouldn't do that. So, hands first, and touch, and then hands last. That's all. As a gesture. Okay, so a gesture, remember, setup, action, destination. See? Correct. And then 3 speeds. Slow, medium, fast. Everybody only this far. Okay? No, not down yet.
No, there's not one way to do an asana because everybody has a different body. So to say that, okay, you have to do this position this way and this is the only way doesn't make sense.
No.
It doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody's different, so everybody's going to have a different expression of the pose, right? So.
But then also, though, behind that different expression is certain principles that everyone can go by.
Yes, of course.
And that's really cool to me. Like, this really leads my practice and my teaching, which is, so how do you come about your version of the posture? So so it leads to things for me like, every posture is intended to have you encounter your limits, so and force you to compromise. And so, and when you're learning, you just compromise anyway. It doesn't, you don't even think about it. You just sort of try to do your posture your best you can, and then whatever it ends up, you just do it. But as you learn, you make choices about how to compromise. So do I lift the back heel, or do I shift over here? Do I separate my arms, or how do I do it? Like, in what way? And so in that way, the possibilities that you're exploring are based on kind of themes that come from this one position and this one consciousness and that consciousness is so interesting, in it, because it's also specific. Like, even though you can't, it's mystery. You can't really name it. You can only kind of get at it by words that don't quite make it. But at the same time, it is specific. Like, right, so that it's infinite. And it is all-pervading. It's omniscient. So it has these qualities that you're actually trying to emulate and to experience through how you'll explore your asanas or your breathing.